In a quiet corner of Umuaka village, past the tall palm trees and the winding footpaths that only hunters used, there stood an old well. No one fetched water from it. No one cleaned around it. No one even mentioned its name. Even the elders avoided speaking of it unless absolutely necessary. For generations, parents warned their children, do not go near the old well. Do not look inside. Do not listen to any voice that calls from that place. The well had been there longer than any human living. Its stones were covered in moss, its walls darkened by age, and its opening wrapped with strange vines that never dried, even in harmattan. It was not just an abandoned well, it was a forbidden place, a doorway to something ancient, hungry, and restless. But everything changed the night Chiamaka heard the cries. Chiamaka was an 18-year-old girl with a heart gentler than morning rain. Everyone in the village knew her for helping others, elders, children, strangers, animals. Her kindness was her greatest strength, but also her greatest weakness. Her mother often told her, good hearts attract spirits. Be careful what answers your kindness. One evening, as the moon rose pale and thin like a crying eye in the sky, Chiamaka returned from the farm. She had tied firewood on her head and carried a small lantern in her left hand. The path home was silent, unusually silent. No birds, no insects, not even the rustling of leaves. It felt as if the whole forest was holding its breath. Then she heard it, a soft trembling sound, a whimper, a cry, then another like children sobbing. She stopped and listened again. The sound floated gently through the trees, carried by the wind, rising and falling like a morning song. Her heart tightened. She had heard many things in the forest before, goats bleating, babies crying from distant compounds, evil spirits mimicking voices at night, but this was different. This cry felt real. She followed the sound, trembling at every step, her sandals brushing through fallen leaves. The moonlight grew weaker the closer she got, as if something was swallowing the light. And then she reached the clearing. There it was, the old well. Cold mist rose from its mouth. The air around it felt colder than harmattan morning. The crying grew louder, echoing from deep inside. Help us, please, help us. Chiamaka froze. Her legs wanted to run, but her heart refused to leave. She took one slow step toward the well, then another. Then she leaned over the edge, and the crying stopped completely. For a moment, there was only silence. Then something moved in the darkness. A hand, thin, blackened, and long like a shadow, stretched upward from the deep pit inside the well. Chiamaka screamed and stumbled back, falling on the grass. A deep, hollow voice groaned, Chaya, you have come. Her blood turned to ice. She tried to run, but her legs shook too badly. She crawled backward, tears filling her eyes. The voice echoed again, deeper, heavier, filled with centuries of darkness. You hear them, you hear the souls I keep. The mist around the well thickened, twisting like smoke. They cry because they are trapped. Will you free them? Chiamaka finally found her legs and ran without looking back, ran until her throat burned. She burst into her family compound, gasping for breath, covered in sweat and dirt. Her mother dropped her basket. Chi. What happened? Chiamaka couldn't speak. Only tears came. Her mother held her trembling body and shouted for the elders. Soon the elders gathered, gray-haired men and wrinkled women with beads around their necks, their faces carved with fear the moment they heard which well she had gone near. Elder Okoro, the oldest man in Umuaka, placed both hands on his walking staff and sighed deeply. The well has awakened again. The elders led Chiamaka to the shrine house, lit a lantern, and instructed her to repeat everything she saw. When she finished the story, the silence in the room grew so thick it seemed to have weight. Elder Momangozi whispered, Child, that well is not just a hole in the ground. It is a prison. A prison for something that should never walk the earth. And so they told her the truth, a truth the village had buried for generations. Centuries ago, there had been a demon, a devourer of children, a spirit of hunger that preyed on innocence. It lived among humans unseen, taking children one by one, leaving only silence behind. When the villagers finally discovered the truth, the ancient priest trapped the demon in the old well using powerful magic, but the priest warned them. A demon cannot die, it can only starve, and when it starves, it hungers. Over the centuries, any child who wandered too close was pulled in, swallowed, and they are so trapped to feed the demon's endless hunger. Eyes full of tears, Chiamaka whispered, the cries I heard, were they the lost children? The elders nodded slowly. Chiamaka's heart shattered, the thought of children suffering in darkness, begging for help, crying with no voice to save them. She could not breathe. We must free them, she insisted, we must save them. But Elder Okoro shook his head. No human can fight a demon, and no demon will release what keeps it alive. That night, Chiamaka could not sleep. She turned and tossed, hearing the cries again and again inside her head. Her conscience refused to rest, so before dawn, she rose quietly, tied her wrapper, picked up a small lantern, and walked to the forest shrine where the ancient spirits were said to listen. She lit incense, knelt on the cold earth, and whispered, "Spirits of the land, I am only a girl, but my heart cannot ignore their pain. If there is any power that listens, help me save them." The wind stirred, the trees rustled though there was no breeze. The ground beneath her trembled lightly. Then a glowing white feather floated out of the darkness and landed before her knees. Her breath doubled. It was a sign from the higher spirits, a blessing, a protection, a chosen mission. She picked up the feather, and instantly a small wave of warmth passed through her body. A voice, soft as wind, whispered, "Go, daughter, courage is your weapon, you will not walk alone." That night she returned to the old well. The moon hid behind clouds, the wind was cold and angry, but Chiamaka stood firm, gripping the glowing feather in one hand. The cries began again, louder, more desperate. "Help us, set us free." Tears streamed down her face. "I am here," she whispered. "I won't leave you." The ground shook violently. A wave of darkness rose from the well like smoke. Then the demon emerged, tall, twisted, shadows dripping from its body like liquid. Night, its eyes burned yellow like fire buried in ash. It hissed, "Why do you return?" Chiamaka swallowed her fear, released the children. The demon laughed, a deep, rumbling, bone-shaking laugh. "Little girl, these souls feed me. Without them, I vanish into nothing." Chiamaka stepped closer. Her hands shook, her voice cracked. "Then take my soul instead, take me, but let them go." The demon froze. For the first time in centuries, it was uncertain. "You offer yourself, freely?" Yes, her voice was quiet, but firm. "If one soul can save many, then take mine." The feather in her hand burst into bright light. The light spread around her, forming a shield of white energy. The demon screamed, "No. Her heart burns me." The spirits of the forest appeared behind Chiamaka as glowing figures of light, chanting ancient words. The earth rattled, the sky cracked with thunder. The demon lunged at her. The spirits pushed back. Light and darkness clashed violently, illuminating the entire clearing. Chiamaka lifted the feather high. A blinding beam of spiritual light shot from her hands straight into the well. The demon shrieked, its form burning away. Piece by piece, from the well, small glowing orbs rose. The souls of the lost children, free at last. They floated around Chiamaka, giggling softly, touching her cheeks with grateful hands. One whispered, "Thank you, you saved us." Then they drifted upward, disappearing into the night sky like stars returning home. Chiamaka collapsed to her knees, exhausted. At sunrise, the villagers found her lying by the now dry, empty, silent well. The demon was gone, the curse was broken, the children's souls were finally free. The villagers carried Chiamaka home, praising her bravery, blessing her courage, calling her the savior of Umuaka. But as night fell, as the moon dimmed, as the wind whispered through the trees, something moved deep beneath the earth where the well once held darkness, and the land trembled softly. For though the demon was gone, something older, something hungrier, had felt a disturbance. A shadow stretched slowly through the soil, reaching upward, because in the realm of spirits, whenever one darkness dies, another stirs awake. Chiamaka believed the nightmare was over, the village believed peace had returned, but the earth, the ancient earth, knew the truth. The old well was empty, but that was not the end.